Hey guys, um, figured maybe today it's really crappy and rainy out. I figured maybe instead of me just flies are terrible. Instead of me just beating on rocks, well, I'm gonna be beating on a rock anyway. But maybe I'd try to do some explaining on platforms and hinges and steps, which are basically the same thing. It's a platform that wasn't prepared properly, or your strike wasn't correct, or flaw in the rock. But so I guess basically I'll explain that first. Let me grab a piece here and just I have it laying around. This is a piece I was beating on earlier, but a lot of times, and I'm not a professional, just from my own experience, it's where I'm getting this information from. But you get when you get steps or hinges, I don't really know. I don't know the difference between a step and a hinge. I think it's all the same thing. It's either, like I said, a platform that wasn't prepared properly, or a bad strike, or even a flaw in the rock sometimes can create a step, crystal pocket, or just a natural flaw in the rock. So when people say try to avoid hinges and steps, it's not always possible. It depends on the grade of the rock you're flint knapping too. I'm gonna say a lot too in this video. When when I take a piece like this, a piece of Texas pedernales, I didn't hit this yet, I just got it. Usually when you watch my videos, I'm just going wild on it. I am just going wild on it, but it's also thawed out a little bit ahead. And when you're starting on a piece like this, after you hit so much rock, you kind of figure it out as to where you want to start. But on this rock here, you can see, obviously this here is much thicker than this up here. We have cortex on this side and no cortex on this side. You want to be able to flake this side here eventually. So it's kind of like it's hard to explain. It really is, unless you do it. But this piece will shrink dramatically. Like we're gonna, probably all this here will be gone. It'll shrink a lot. You lose a lot. You see these guys making huge. This piece here is probably around. It's probably around an 8-inch piece. So realistically, I mean, you might be able to make a 7-inch piece out of this. You might even be able to make a 7.5-inch piece. If you're really good, you might not lose much length. But realistically, out of a piece like this that's 8 inches long, you could probably expect to get a finished 5-inch piece out of it. Maybe 5 to 6 inch long blade. But sometimes you can get lucky and you got a good piece of rock and there's not many flaws in it, and you can kind of plan it out correctly, and which I never do. But I'll get into this a little bit here, this piece of rock, and then when I come into a problem, either I have some good platforms set up to strike, or if I create a problem, which I can guarantee you I'm going to do because I always do that. I'll show you how to get out of it, and then I'll also show you how to not correctly flake a piece, make it look nice, because I don't make them look nice. Also, take into consideration that I'm using antler and hammerstones, so your platforms for copper are going to be extremely different. Now, I punch a lot of my work. I don't know if you're using it this way here, if the platform's going to be the same, but I'm assuming most antler platforms are the same. and hammerstone platforms are the same. Hammerstone platforms are quite different than platforms for antler. Antler requires it looks more like a reverse lip. I'll call it, but it needs something there like a little tip sticking out kind of for your platform for the antler to hit and compress on and send the shock through the rock. But on this rock here, what I'll do first is I see this side here. I'm going to bring this side here down a little bit. And then usually with my initial spalling, I'm not going to isolate much. I'm just going to try to get some thickness off with some bigger strikes. It might be wrong, but you'll see me isolate a little bit. Like on this one here, I'll move this ridge over. And really, sometimes you'll see me abrade the whole piece, and I usually do that because it gets sharp, and I don't want to get cut. But like this right here, see if my camera will focus. That's a good antler platform. This should go fairly well. Far enough. Would have been nice if it shot over here. But it didn't. So now, I took a couple flakes off of here. I'm going to come down here to this edge. I'm going to knock this down. Now, what I did there is, took some flakes off of here, relieved some of this back here, brought this edge down, turned this back this way. Now I set myself up for a nice removal on this fat side on this platform. I'll grind it so you can see it. I'll probably do a little bit of isolation on there too. Like I said, you really want to make sure that you're grinding just the area you're going to hit. I think Marty had said it before, if you just grind the area that you're going to hit, it leaves this other area here, just in case you have a miss strike and you're a little bit off. This area is ungrounded, so it's probably just going to collapse right away it's going to collapse right away. If you had it abraded really hard and you misstruck and hit over here, it's probably going to either take a really bad flake somewhere where you didn't want it, or it's going to fall off later in your piece. You're going to be like, well, why'd that flake come out like that? Well, it's probably because you struck it. You see me do that a lot. Like, I get ahead of myself. Powder. Hey, get out of there. Get out. My dog's not even as big as a groundhog, and she thinks she can take a groundhog on. Anyway. Yeah, so you see me do that a lot, where like I get into striking and I have a couple missed strikes in a row and I just keep hitting, which is not really the right thing to do. You should probably plan out most of your strikes so you don't get those I call them false flakes, where you hit it doesn't seem like it went anywhere, and then 20 minutes later you're working the other side and that flake pops out. And it's because you probably, from hitting on this side, you probably undercut that spot and relieved that flake, and then now you got a flake where you didn't want it in the first place. So we'll take this one right here. Trying to get as good a shot as I can. My camera's not the best, so it's going to be this platform. We're just going to try to undercut some of this. And like I said, it's early in the piece, so we got a lot of room for error, but I don't want to try to make a lot. Use a big boy. Let's see, I feel this is a little bit sharp over here. So I figured out how to braid that. And also, it's like, the way the platform is, It might not be absolutely correct, the angle, but you can always adjust it by turning it. And something else I want to go over too is when people talk about support, and this was something that was confusing to me, and I really never could understand why nobody really went into more detail with it unless they just don't know what they're talking about. They're just talking about support. But your support is on the back of the piece. Underneath is just to keep it from flying all over the place, like the rock's having a seizure or something. Now, sometimes you want to support the bottom, but it depends what you're doing. It depends if you're taking a short flake and you're trying to stop a flake. I'll try to show you that then. Now, see, that was that platform. That was that platform I set up right here on this edge. And what I did is with that, I held it and I looked at it, and I could tell right when I had it at the right spot. There was no pressure being pushed onto the pad. I wasn't pushing on the pad. It was just loosely sitting on the pad. All my support was back here. I think a lot of times you support the back of the piece because when you hit it, if you weren't supporting the back of it, it's gonna move back. It's gonna take a lot of your energy away from the. It's gonna take the energy away from going into the piece and make everything move. So that was that platform, and this is what it did. Pretty much exactly what I wanted it to do. Thin that piece out a little bit down here. Now, I took that flake, took that flake off of here, underneath. Now what I'll do is, I got some thickness down in here yet on the opposite side. So, come in here and I'll take a flake. And I always come back down through and backtrack a little bit off of this. So what we did there is, remember, we took that flake off of here, underneath here. Took off that big one. Now we're on this side. And I got this platform right here. We're going to rip some of this off. We're kind of zigzagging, but in a bigger way. Same again, support in the back, just laying it on the pad. And see that there's something, that flake didn't go as well as what I wanted it to go. It's all right. And you can see I kind of like got a bunch of premature hinges or whatever you want to call them. So I'll just come back in and take a flake down that way, getting our platform set up. Right here. Ripped across there. Same with, see, now we're starting to lose that, see, slowly losing this bubble batters back here. We're just working into it. Now I'll turn this over the opposite way. We just took that flake off this side. Hit this down here a little bit. Okay. Now I can tell right now that there's nothing. It's a little steep in here to really do much. So I see an opportunity on the opposite side of it though, where I can start coming in. So we'll start doing that. I'm gonna take a short hammerstone flake off this edge. We'll start working back into that. And all I did right there was, I isolated this in here a little bit. As in, I took some flakes down this way and kind of made that ridge prominent, whatever you say that. Now this is going to be like an angle hit. And what I'm saying is, you can see, I don't want to come straight in on this. I want to kind of follow this ridge back into it and try to undercut this off. I'm going to drop down my billet size here for this one. And now this one here, still the backhand support, but the part that's going to be rested on the pad is going to be this ridge right here. And it's going to be angled. I'm going to be hitting it like in toward it. See that? Now I can come in here, crack a little one off here. And when I'm making a platform for antler, I braid pretty good. Now, the thing is, when someone tells you don't braid much with antler, are they using a carbide braider or are they using a sandstone? Because this sandstone's not really that gritty. It's just enough, which is really what you want. It's just enough to take away like the flaky type edge and leave you something that the tool can grab onto and really rip across. And that one there did not do well again either. Now, since I screwed that one up, I see a good hammerstone platform here. It's low. This will take this off real nice. See, there I go. Kind of screwed that up by taking a double hit on it. Now we're into a good spot. I created some hinges in here. A couple, 1, 2. So basically what I want to do is bring this edge closer to those. If I can find an opportunity though to get in there and really rip a good flake off of there and just clean it up with one shot, that's what I want to do. If it's at all possible. Here, we're gonna rip into this. Remember we had all that hinged up area right in here? It's gone. No, I created a little hinge there, but that's nothing. Come across and get that. Got a good little antler platform right here. You know what? All your strikes aren't gonna be perfect. They're not all gonna be perfect. Now see what I did there? I just lost that whole edge because it was too thin. It was too dipped onto this side. I need to take some stuff off of here eventually, so I need to bring that over here. Now, we'll forget about that side for now. We'll get this thick area right in here. And it's a pretty good platform, but it seems to be isolated a little bit because I got a good ridge here. I'll show you here in a second. Get that ridge right there. It'll be a good platform. I'm hoping. Get the big boy out first because I need some power. Ripped into there, right here. Didn't go as deep as I wanted, but we'll get the rest of it with this next platform right here. It's like a mega lip. See how that works. Not too well. You know, and sometimes I come back, I work in the same area. I get myself stuck in spots where I'm like, you know, what is going on? Actually, see, that's why that happened. Look at that. My antler got, I wonder if his antler didn't get wet. Probably. So we'll try to find a hard spot. It's the only thing with antler, man. That's a pretty good one. But, you know, you see, I got a big dish there because of that previous strike I took kind of screwed the rock up. I don't know how many of you guys are local. I'm in Pennsylvania, but probably gonna try to go to the Bald Eagle napping, which is around Pennsylvania here in State College, PA, and then I'd like to go to up to Letchworth in August, which is in New York, Western New York. Powder, please get out of the mud. Come on. All right, so here we go with a good platform right here. Try to take this thickness off this front. Just did. But as you can see, it made some hinges there. Not going to worry about that right now because we're kind of getting to piece, leveled out. We'll come back and play with that then. It's been really humid out here lately, so I wonder if it's not playing it with my antler a little bit. See that real ridge in there? And all I do when I hit each side there, I'm hitting here away from the piece and here away from the piece and leaving that platform alone, making it so it's the only ridge that's left on the piece. You can see that. A real good ridge right there. Drop down a little bit here on this one to the smaller billet, which that might have been a mistake. All right, let's reset that up. Well, I lost half and it blew the whole way across. So that thinned that out pretty good. You know what? And it's You can watch my videos or anybody's videos all you want, and it's really, if you want to nap from raw rock, it takes a lot of rock to like get it down, and that's why you tend to see a lot of guys napping from slabs, which slabs are hard to work too, but it's just something takes out a lot of the guesswork. Like this early work is difficult because I do it a lot. I got a whole bucket full. Let me get this real quick. Bear with me here. Let me grab this bucket. I have this bucket, and I'm talking a bucket of unfinished preforms and bifaces, just it's filled out, honestly. Broken pieces. I guess my point is, if you don't think some of these guys that are really, really good don't have stuff like that sitting around too, then they're lying. Because you break a lot. Doesn't matter how good you are. I guarantee you're breaking a lot. And I'll say with Antler, working with Antler, you can screw up fairly quickly too, because with metal tools, you can take a lot more like weird shots on the rock and get yourself out of situations without having to really, really go into detail and setting up like a perfect platform. With Antler, on the other hand, if you want to clean a spot up and it's really going to be really difficult to get through because of hinges or steps, man, you better have that stuff set up right. That's all I know. Because it ain't going to go. So this might be a little bit, this might not go as good, but you know what? You see how there's like a little bump going up this way? I don't know if you can see that. See that? That'll screw you up sometimes. It won't let your antler grab right. So, see, I just knocked that off. Watch, I'll show you. Grind that real good. Now you look at that. See that little bump's gone? Try to get these lights a little closer here, so. It's right there. That's not going to work. That thing's in my face terribly. There we go. Maybe that works. There we go. But yeah, so I cleaned that up a little bit. This should go pretty well. Has a little bit of a lip on it yet, but I think we're going to be all right. That was overshot on that one too. I just lost some of it. So I felt like I knew that platform was going to be really, really good. Right there. And so then we got this right here. And we got this back here. It's like this. It's all wavy. It's ridiculous. It's making me sick. So let's pop a couple small flakes out of the back here. Come up to this piece here. We'll bring some of this down. And you can see the whole time I'm working this piece, I'm kind of making the shape of a spear point or an arrowhead. It's just, you don't want to be coming onto a piece and be like, oh, I'll take this flake off. And you get real nice flakes or big flakes. And then the piece looks like a hot dog or something, or a sausage, like bent. So you want to try to keep the uniform shape the whole way through the thinning process, which that also makes it extremely difficult. So yeah, we'll prepare this edge right here. Gonna hit this down a little bit. We got a bad spot in this rock here. Let me raise this edge here real quick, or lower this edge. Now see what's going on here. Look at all these hinges right here. Oh man, it's terrible. Terrible. Well, let's try to, we're gonna try to get that out of there. All right. She's thick right here. We're going to blast that out with a big antler. Got a good platform there. Oh, look what happened there. Wow. Look at them steps. That's insane, right? This could spell trouble with such terrible hinges like that. We're on the other side. This side's so screwed up, there's no way to get through those hinges. I mean, they're terrible. Look at that. So we're going to come over here and hit across. Now watch what I did. Had all those nasty, nasty hinges over there. Look at that. Almost got rid of all of them. Set this platform up, and I hit down the piece, and that flake rolled across there. Cleaned up most of those hinges. We got these here yet, but to be honest with you, that's probably not going to be in the point anyway. All right. All right, so I'm gonna take a break. We'll be back. The massive ripped flag across there. Love that. All right, I'll be back.